Story 1. Am I the a-hole for demanding my girlfriend to change her dress for a wedding? This happened during this weekend, me being in my early 30s and my girlfriend in her late 20s. I was invited to a wedding ceremony of a colleague and could bring someone with me. I asked my girlfriend that I've been dating for a year if she would like to join me, and she was really happy because she apparently loves weddings. Since we don't live together, I drove to pick her up so we'd have some time to spare before the ceremony. As she comes out, she looks really beautiful and has obviously put in time to fix her hair and makeup. She's also wearing an off-white dress that was rather ornate. As she got in, I told her that she looked stunning, but I asked if she could change to a different colored dress for the ceremony. I'm not one for etiquette by far, but one of the few things I have heard everywhere is that you should not wear a white dress to a wedding unless you're the bride. She became pretty upset and wanted to know what was wrong with her dress. I said that it would be inappropriate to wear a white or off-white dress unless you're the bride, and that it's like a wedding law or something, trying to be lighthearted about it. She rolled her eyes and said that it was an outdated tradition about women and virginity, and that when her friends got married, everyone wore white, and that it's not a big thing anymore. I told her that I don't know what the dress code is for this ceremony, but since it's not saying all white clothes, I still thought that she should change to another color, but white or almost white, because my colleague was getting married and we had no idea how she felt about it. My girlfriend became really upset and told me that I was trying to control what she was wearing and that it was abusive, which honestly made me really upset and hurt. I said something along the lines of, well, you shouldn't go to a wedding with an abuser then. And then I told her to F off out of my car. She began to cry and wanted to apologize and give me a hug, but I just told her to get out, which she did. Edit to clarify, we never left the driveway by her home. I did not drop her off in the middle of nowhere or anything like that. I drove off and she called and texted me a bunch. I answered, I don't want to talk right now, and then turned my phone off and attended the ceremony. The bride was the only one that was wearing white, so I feel as if my gut feeling was the right one. When I got home, my phone had been blown up by texts from her and her best friend saying that I was being inconsiderate and controlling and should apologize for my behavior. I vented to a few friends, most of them agreeing with me, but some have said that it was an a-hole thing to tell her that she could not wear her dress because it had nothing to do with me. I feel as if I was in the right since it was my colleague's wedding and it was better to be safe than sorry, but I'm also not sure if I was being an a-hole about the situation. So, am I the a-hole? This is a tricky one, because I absolutely do agree that the whole not wearing white to the wedding, any of that stuff is definitely outdated and just, it shouldn't be a thing. And also brides should be able to wear, hot pink or blue or black or whatever to a wedding. You should be able to wear whatever you want. But on the other hand, you should, to a reasonable extent, respect the wishes of the bride and groom. And if they do like that tradition and they do want the bride to be the only one wearing white, then you should respect that. But I mean, in this situation, you didn't know and the dress was off-white. I mean, I've seen plenty of people go with like off-white cream colored, dresses and stuff like that to weddings, and it's never been even remotely a deal. So I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about this. I feel like the girlfriend was definitely a little harsh and snapping, saying that you're being, an abuser and stuff like that. Like, you're just nervous about, upsetting these people and your colleagues and, all that stuff. Maybe you were too harsh about it. I don't know. Your reaction of being like, well, you don't want to go with an abuser and telling her to just get out. I don't think that was great either. I think you should have expressed your feelings and communicated that's a really hurtful thing. And that's not what I'm trying to go for. And try to have a conversation, but how long of a conversation can you have before the wedding? There's so much going on here, and I don't think that there's a clear-cut line here about I think everyone was a little in the wrong to some degree, and I don't know how it should have all played out, but not like this. I don't know, folks, get in the comments and, let me know, because I may be completely off base here. I kind of feel like I'm a little in the weeds. I don't know. Story 2. Fairly aggressive girlfriend stole from my bank account, so I sent her academic career into a nosedive. I'm a senior at a large state university. This happened in the first semester of my freshman year. I was selected for an honors-type program that placed me in a co-ed dorm building with every other student in the program. As a dumb freshman, I rushed into a relationship with a freshman girl who lived right above me. We'll call her Megan. It was convenient for me to date someone who lived so close, but everyone else in our building hated Megan because she talked a lot and almost exclusively about herself. She bragged often about being a fairly aggressive person, but somehow I overlooked that mile-wide red flag. Right after Thanksgiving break, at the end of an evening class, I got a call from my mom who noticed some unusual activity on my checking account. Back then I had no credit card, so this account/debit card was my only access to my savings while I lived on campus. I rarely needed to buy anything during the semester, so I was puzzled to find that $104.29 had left my bank account over 2 weeks in the form of 6 Grubhub food orders. At this point, I trusted Megan, but I decided to ask her about the money right away. She denied any involvement and suggested that I cancel my debit card. After a really long phone call to the bank, I did just that. Next, I reached out to Grubhub customer service on Twitter. Hey, my card was stolen and used for food orders on these dates. Can I have the receipts? They sent me the first and last receipt, but they had to redact the personal information of the account holder. I say redact in quotes because they just used the Snapchat draw tool and Megan's name was still clearly visible on both receipts. What's more, the most recent receipt was only 2 hours old. She was probably still eating when I chopped up my debit card. It's worth noting that she and I both had unlimited dining plans, paid for by our respective parents, and we lived 500 feet from the nearest dining hall. She didn't need to order food, and she definitely didn't need my money to do it. So I texted her again. I have the receipts from Grubhub. Are you sure you didn't make those orders? Her reply, F you for suspecting me. Fairly aggressive, wouldn't you say? I hatched a plan to collect security camera footage of her picking up the order from that evening. However, by midnight, Megan arrived at my door in tears and confessed to everything, plus she admitted to being a serial shoplifter. Exhausted, I sent her away and decided to deal with everything in the morning. By the next day, everyone in our building seemed to know what was going down, probably because Megan had already begun broadcasting her version of the story. I sent Megan a breakup text and decided that the $104.29 was a loss. At least I escaped unscathed, right? Well, less than 2 days later, she entered my room when I wasn't looking. I was sitting at my desk when I noticed her standing silently behind me. Megan, give me my stuff. Where's my stuff? Me. What stuff? You know! I did not know. She tore through the room looking for something that she refused to identify. Just as quick as she came, she was gone, and I locked the door because obviously this wasn't over yet. Within a minute, she was back. She stood outside my door, knocking and demanding I let her back inside. The knocking quickly got more violent. She started shouting, I know you're effing in there, and open the mother effing door. Mind that we lived in this building with students in our program who all knew each other, and all of them could hear her. Pretty quickly, Megan was rattling the handle of my door. Next, she began throwing herself at it, shoulder first, trying to break it down. I lived next door to my RA, but judging by the lack of any intervention, he was elsewhere. So I whipped up my phone and texted him to send backup. Meanwhile, I saw my heavy wooden door bending and buckling. I even heard a crack of it. My RA was on duty in another building, so he sent 3 of his colleagues to de-escalate the situation. They brought Megan downstairs, where she revealed that the stuff she wanted was just the t-shirt and keychain that she gave me for my birthday. Whatever, I let her have those. I still just wanted this to be over. However, once I shared my story with the resident life staff, they filed university paperwork to place a no-contact order between me and Megan. They also recommended I contact the campus police, who then told me I should get my stolen money back in small claims court. I couldn't even get there without a car or money to pay for an Uber. Sorry, Judge Judy. At the request of the campus police, I also contacted the Title IX office at my school, sending them the story and everything you've read so far. They were interested, to say the least, although I didn't want any trouble. I just wanted a clean breakup and a fresh start, but a Title, probably 9, representative informed me that they were bringing 3 misconduct charges against Megan. Theft, threatening/violent behavior, and inciting an intervention by university staff. The representative asked me to serve as a witness in Megan's disciplinary hearing the next semester. I tentatively agreed right before the representative sent the hearing date for February 14th. Valentine's Day. I thought it was a joke, but they really did that. When the day of the hearing finally arrived, the no-contact order was still in effect, but a few of my friends had kept tabs on Megan. For starters, she failed all of her classes in the fall. Someone in my math course confessed that Megan had tried to sleep with him while she was dating me, and he had repeatedly told her no, Even worse, Megan kept telling a twisted version of the story to try and turn my friends against me. So when I found out that she had a new boyfriend, it felt good to know that the V-Day disciplinary hearing ruined whatever evening plans they might have made. I arrived alone at the disciplinary board office, unsure what to expect. The board consisted of grad students, and the hearing was expected to run into the night. Unlike me, Megan did not come alone. She brought both of her parents as character witnesses. That wasn't even a thing here. This wasn't a real courtroom, as you'll soon see. And that's not all. Megan's parents also paid a lawyer to defend her against the charges. The board knew that was unnecessary, but Megan's parents believed so strongly in their daughter's innocence that they had already paid for this three-piece suit to make the case. In the name of fairness, the board members offered me pro bono legal representation, a junior economics major who we'll call Jimmy. Jimmy had already read my account of the events from the fall, and thanks to my screenshots of Grubhub receipts, he said there was an okay shot of the charges sticking. Then I told him something I'd kept secret for months. When Megan tried to break down my door and I whipped out my phone to text the RA, I also filmed the whole thing. Jimmy couldn't get enough of the video. There was Megan kicking and screaming and clearly trying to break into my dorm room. It was all the evidence I needed, and no one saw it coming. In the hearing, when the time came for me to make the case against Megan, Jimmy played the video on a big screen in front of everyone. The room went insane. In that instance, I realized that Megan had to convince everyone I was the liar. In her version of the story, I gave her permission to buy food using my account. She told her parents that she'd asked me politely for her belongings, which I'd rudely hidden from her in my dorm room. In Megan's story, I was the sociopath trying to ruin her reputation, but I unveiled the video. It was her word against mine. I still didn't want revenge, even after finding out when Megan tried to cheat on me. But when I saw her parents flipping out at the video, "Why did you tell us you did this?" and her lawyer raising hell, "This evidence was not provided in pre-trial discourse." And a board member standing over him, "Sir, this is not a court of law. Please return to your seat." And him shouting, "Objection!" And her replying, "We don't have objections. This isn't a court of law." And Jimmy, my new best friend, just trying not to laugh out loud. This is when I realized how good revenge can feel when it's fair and deserved. The board found Megan responsible for all three charges. My side of the bench recommended the university terminate her housing contract and force her to pay restitution. Her side recommended only restitution and a reprimand. The board was compromised. Her family paid back most of the money she stole. Most, because 2 of the 6 orders had the same price and the lawyer convinced the board that I duplicated an order, and Megan was forced to move into a different dorm building. This probably would have helped her anyway because every student in our program building knew everything she'd done and lied about. They wouldn't speak to her and no one wanted to be her roommate. By the time she had to move buildings, she'd already failed all of her courses again. Having to pay for her tuition, her unused dining plan, her lawyer, and her restitution, Megan's parents finally pulled her out of school. Where are they now? Last I heard, Megan returned as a part-time student, but I never saw her again because the no-contact order still stands. I'm now Facebook friends with the guy Megan tried to seduce, and Jimmy and I are connected on LinkedIn. As for me, well, I no longer date fairly aggressive people. I'm sorry, I still can't get over the lawyer being there and like, "This was not approved in pre-trial." It's like, what pre-trial? You would have even known that. You're a lawyer. You should know what is and isn't a courtroom. I feel like that's a prerequisite of the job. That's amazing. If only that was the whole story, I would have loved this story to death. But this whole story, it's like, you did not ruin her academic career or whatever. You did not seek out revenge. She forced revenge upon herself with her actions. She forced the school and the RA and Title IX, all this stuff, to like just come crashing down on her with all the actions that she took. You were willing to like be the better person and be like, you know what? The money's lost, bad relationship, whatever. I just want to move on and do my studies. And just, she did that. So yeah, no, that is like, she got revenge on herself, kind of. Like, you were so passive, like you provided the stuff that she basically gave you, you know? Like, this is such a wild thing to me. And clearly the way her parents were acting about it and stuff, you feel like there was a failure in parenting for Megan in all of this. And she's clearly a person who does need some help and some therapy and all that kind of stuff, because she's making terrible life choices at that age that may stick with her and ruin many, many future years of her life. And whatever her parents were doing was not helping her at all. Like, they are just enabling this poor girl to just become a barely aggressive person. So, yeah, I mean, I hope Megan gets her crap together and figures it out. And to the person who wrote this post, I hope you're doing well. And could you, maybe send a few Grubhub orders my way? I'm in the mood for, maybe some Mexican or something. Yeah, just we'll put it on your tab. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.